Thank you for joining us this evening in a regular scheduled council meeting of the Park City City Council, March 14th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Daniela, would you call the roll?
John Linder.
Here.
George Glover. Gary Aldrich.
Here.
Melvin Kerr.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
George Capps.
Here.
Joel Pumphrey.
Here.
Jim Schrader.
Here.
The quorum is present, Your Honor.
All right. Tonight we have Pastor Kit Berry is going to lead us in the invocation, and Councilman George Capps is going to lead us in the pledge. If everybody please stand.
Let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we are gathered here tonight to do our civic duties as citizens of the United States of America and citizens of Park City. Lord, be in this building tonight. Guide these men who are going to lead us into the future. Lord, just indwell in their hearts and guide them and give them the wisdom they need to make sound decisions for the people that have elected them into this office. In your name, in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. John
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
and Gary.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. Tonight, we don't have anything for awards or presentations. Nobody has signed up for public forum. So we'll move on to our staff reports, and we'll start with our city administrator, Jack Whitson. Jack?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We sold the last 2 lots in Saddlebrook this week, the developable ones. The engineers are still working on the design of the project that you authorized for that other cul-de-sac. Got word today that we'll be receiving some petitions for village estates. There's 14 undeveloped lots in village estates, and they want to, the owner of those wants to go ahead and get that subdivision built out. So that'll be coming to you here shortly. We've also have had a couple of developers interested in buying out Bear Hill Estates, but we haven't gotten anything.
We're in negotiation.
Yeah, we're in negotiations. So we'll just have to hold our breath and wait and see if that happens and everything. So that's the end of my report. If there's any questions, I'd be more than glad to try to answer them for you.
Melvin?
$1 million question, when's 53rd going to be done? Estimated, I guess. Wow.
When is Thanksgiving?
Of what year?
No, they keep telling me their goal is trying to get it done in March because they want to leave that headache and move over to the new headache, which is Broadway and 53rd. So they're the contractors on Broadway and 53rd, and they want to get it done in March. So all they have to do is take their crew and just move them over there and start work.
So we're going to start 53rd and Broadway in March? If
Yes.
This one,
Mhm.
are we going to have
March
the
or
same?
first part of April.
We're going to have the same overseer on that?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it depends on what you mean by overseer. The same contractor, yes.
Okay.
Whoever get them rolling.
George?
It's, never mind, I won't get into it, but it's a state job, but when some things don't happen the way they want it, it becomes a Park City job.
I think we've beat that horse until it's dead. We all know, and we all know the weather issues last week or last year and the excuses on that, and we just have to move forward. George?
Jack, just for the record, and I think you might have said this before, but I had a individual complain about the location of those stop signs. What's the reason for that, if you know?
Sure. It allows, they wanted to stop. They didn't want any southbound traffic on the hydraulic, and I said, no, you got to have southbound traffic. Then they said, well, we don't want any semis coming there. I said, no, you can't stop the semis, because they come up from the school district and they're trying to get onto the interstate. So we came up with a plan of stopping the vehicles back far enough so that when the semis come, they can make a big sweeping turn without running over a car, stop at the stop sign.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Jack?
I do.
Go ahead.
On the 53rd Street thing, you notice like in the medial area, they did the brick and the nice looking stuff, and then there's an area that they left alone. Is there a reason or something for that?
Well, that's in areas that they're gonna repave. They went ahead and redid the median, and those that they're not gonna repave, they didn't mess with the median.
Do we have a plan to do that at some point to match what was replaced, or?
Well, all it is money.
We haven't had any discussion on that or haven't brought anything
It does
to
look different for sure.
Yes.
It makes what was there look worse, because now the other's brand new right next to it, but okay, thank you.
Not seeing any further questions for you, Jack. We'll move on to Rick, and our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works report for this evening, March 14th. First of all, in the Park Department, we've started some of our spring activities, which includes turning on some of our irrigation systems. We have the ones at BMX, at Youth Park Diamonds 1, 2, and 3 are turned on, irrigation systems, and also for the concession stands, Youth Park and McLean. We did complete repairs to our aerator at Chisholm Point Lake. 2 weeks ago, notified about an issue at the skateboard park, the piece of equipment in the middle, which I don't know the name of it, but a couple of the welds had broke, so we had re-welded that together. In the street department, we've had our sweeper out, focusing on 59th and Prospect. If any of you have been down to the park, last Tuesday we set the concrete box. Toward the end of the week, we went ahead and filled in around that box, put a toe wall in the ditch, extended that out. We have a little bit of work to do on the ends of that. We're trying to get that done before the tournament. I believe that's April 8th, I believe. So if we have good weather, we should be able to get that completed. Also, we had some repairs to a stormwater box in Wyndham Creek. The precast joints were leaking, so we had applied some hydraulic compound to that to correct that. In the water and sewer department, the average work orders per day for, actually this should be February, was 25. Questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Rick? No, I don't. I just want to tell Gary Aldridge, thank you for pointing out the welds that were broke on that, so we could get that fixed at the skateboard park. Thanks, Rick, for getting that taken care of. That brings us to our next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Jim
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
and John?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. That brings us to new business. Under new business, item A is consider a contract with Parsons Brinckerhoff for engineering services to conduct biannual bridge safety inspections of $8,500 from the Special Street and Highway Fund. Jack?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Parsons Bringenhoff has been doing this particular job for us for 20 years. The federal and state requires that every bridge in the United States gets inspected at least every 2 years, and we're on our second year cycle. And I recommend that you approve the contract with them. They also do a little extra above and beyond the bridge inspection. For example, they handled all the work on the 53rd Street pockets, got the contractor in, got the specification up, didn't charge us anything for doing that. And so,
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Jack, or is there a motion? John?
Make a motion, we approve the contract with Parsons Bringenhoff for engineering services to conduct lighting service inspection. 500.
From the Special Street and Highway Fund? Okay. Melvin?
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. That brings us to item B, which is consider an ordinance adopting by reference certain provisions of the Sedgwick County Code relating to domestic water wells and sanitary sewers. Doug?
Mayor and Council, this is a follow-up to a prior action that you took in approving an agreement with Sedgwick County's Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department for them to do the inspection of domestic water wells within the city of Park City, and also sanitary sewer systems outside of our sewer system, septic systems and any package systems like that. One of the provisions of that agreement was that in order for them to enforce what they consider to be appropriate regulations and to do inspections and require certain actions if they think it's appropriate, they require that we adopt provisions of their domestic water well code and their sanitary sewer code, and that's what this ordinance does. So I would recommend that you adopt the ordinance.
Does anybody? Gary?
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance for the reference certain provisions of the Sedgwick County Code relating to domestic water wells and sanitary sewers.
Is there a second? Joel?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. Daniela, would you call the roll?
John Leonard,
Aye.
George Glover, Gary Aldrich,
Aye.
Melvin Kerr,
Aye.
Tom Jones,
Aye.
George Capps,
Aye.
Joel Pumphrey,
Aye.
Jim Schrader.
Aye.
And that ordinance passes 7-0. And that number?
That number is 1021-2017.
Okay. That brings us to item C, which is considered change orders number 10 and 11 for the new City Hall law enforcement facility to include installation of additional bollards between the parking lot structure and the structure at a cost of $8,213 from the Capital Improvement Fund. Jack?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you look up here at the drawing, in the original plan, we had existing bollards up to about a point right here, and really had none over here on this side at all. Police department pointed out to us that we were leaving part of the building unprotected in case people would drive into these stalls and would hit the gas instead of the brake. They could crash into our building. And so they recommended that we add ballards all the way over to this point and over to about this point. And that's what the change order entails. Actually, it's two change orders. One for this side, the right side here, and the other one's for this one, but for Gadden, all told, they're $8,000 some odd dollars.
And this was one of those things we've been working on for a while, and we were in the process of moving forward with this, and I felt like the expense really needed to come back to the council. and see if you guys felt strongly that we should put those bollard posts in there. I do. I think we should do anything to try to make sure we protect the building, especially from those stalls where somebody could accidentally step on the wrong pedal and go forward. You know, it's an $8,000 investment now, but it could save us a significant amount of money later. And you see most other facilities around here. You look at Quick Trip, they went back there and redid that. They protected the exterior of their building as well, and I think we should do that here. So it's here for your guys' discussion. Jim?
Define bollard. Are we talking about the cement pipes or steel pipes filled with cement, you
Yes.
know, 4 feet out of the ground kind of deal?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Just wanted to clarify that for now.
Anybody else have any questions, thoughts? Jim?
I would make a motion that we approve change orders number 10 and 11 for the new City Hall / law enforcement facility to include installation of additional bollards between the parking lot and the structure, cost of $8,213 from the Capital Improvement Fund.
Is there a second? Gary?
Second.
Tom?
I'd just like to say I'm a little disappointed that we aren't doing since we did this from ground up, a little bit better design job than sticking iron in front of a new building to keep cars from driving up there. We could have done it with rock or some other things on landscaping, so.
I don't know. I don't think rock looks very good thrown out front either. Big limestone chunks to mow around.
Well, I'm
and
just saying
maintain.
that in the thought process, I would have rather done something besides iron pipe, so.
I don't know. I still think bollard posts look good. If somebody pegs one, it's easy to pull out and remove. It's going to cost about $400 to do it. Stick a big nasty rock out there and then have to get somebody to come out and try to pull that out or bust all the busted up rock from it. Posts are really effective.
We looked at, right here, putting a concrete wall in there, but that was $5,000 or $6,000 compared to $3,000 for bollards.
And one of the reasons why I didn't bring the concrete wall to you is if somebody pegs a concrete wall, we're spending a lot of money to fix the entire section versus a post or maybe two. Post makes a lot more sense in this situation. George?
Well, there's no question in my mind it's needed. My question is, I noticed this is coming out of the Capital Improvement Fund. How are we doing on the budget on this, Jeff?
So we talked about that number last week. Can you tell us what our balance is in there?
Our bonded funds are in the PBC account, and then so half of it is in a PBC account and half of it's in a CIP account. We're drawing down the PBC funds and then we're going to CIP. So we're about halfway paid for the building, about $2.5 million.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. All right, we have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. That brings us to item D, which is consider realty firms to market the existing city hall located at 6110 North Hydraulic. I put this on the agenda. I really just want to get clarification from the council that we want to get this building on the market. We're at a position now that we've got our appraisal back, so we kind of have a dollar amount where we can start from. I'd like us to go out and get a realty firm lined up for commercial real estate and get a sign out front and get this building on the market. The proceeds from the building, I'd really like to replenish our MTB and our funds that we have been drawing on and build those back up off of this, what we could get from this building. So I'm just looking for you guys to give us the approval to go out, get a realtor, and get somebody signed up to get this building on the market. George?
Well, I got a question. Is this something we need to go out for bids on?
I think we should do our due diligence finding a good, solid realtor that's proven in the area to get a contract signed. They're going to have a contract to come back that they're the realtor. But before we go to that point, I want to get your guys' blessing that that's what you want to do. Without you giving me direction for us to go out and find a realtor, it would be a waste of my time to go get one, bring it to you, and then have it get shot down or something. But we do need to get permission to go out and get us a realtor and bring back for a contract for you to get approved with it.
Well, I believe we ought to sell it as soon as possible and put it on the tax rolls.
Thanks, George. Jim?
You guys probably know I work with stuff like this, financing it, so this was right up my alley, but my thinking is, yeah, we ought to get it on the market. Yes, we're not ready to move out of this building yet, but we're not that far away. You know, by the time we discuss it, look at realtors, come back, make a motion to get them out, you know, that's at least 2 weeks down the road. You're going to need marketing time, and commercial property doesn't close like your house. You know, it'll take 60 to 90 days to close it. The buyer's probably going to have to find financing. By the time you get this marketed and under contract and actually closed, we'll probably have already moved out. And even if you didn't move out, it wouldn't be that unrealistic to have a buyer allow you time to move out even after they close. So I'm completely behind going ahead and starting a conversation with, there's a lot of good realtors in town. Figure out who you want to work with and proceed with it.
Okay. Tom?
Well, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think it's a missed opportunity if we get rid of the building. I understand the liability we have with this building. I understand the cost, but I also know we have a parking lot out here that Senior Center uses a lot. If somebody else owns it, we may not be using it anymore. I know what we've paid a square foot for property around here, and this is probably pretty close to an acre. Plus, it's got blacktop on it. And so if we replace this with no building and just the parking lot we got out front, we're probably talking a couple $100,000. So if we sell, we ought to sell it at appraisal. I don't think we ought to be negotiating any less than that if we're going to get rid of it, and maybe have an economic incentive if the right person comes in for the building. We just need to work it the best we can, because we've, on the other side, have paid dearly in the past for stuff just in this area. Anyway, I think this could be an event center. I mean, real easy, but I know most of the council doesn't think that way, or is not. We need the money too. I understand that, but I'm rattling. I'll quit.
Any of it? John?
Yeah, I guess in a way I say the same thing. I mean, can you build this building, for what we've got in it today? Well, of course you can't with any kind of real estate, commercial property especially. But I guess, do we have a use for it? Is there a need, an immediate need for this building for us right now? I don't know. I mean, that's something I guess maybe we need to hear from community, or us as a council need to maybe discuss. But I'd love to say we have a need for it, and it would save us money somewhere else on the back end. But I also say that, by saving it, it needs some work. But I guess I'm kind of mixed. I tend to feel like if it's not something that we have an immediate need, that we're going to occupy immediately and provide a service to the public, that we should probably let it go. I'm open to discussion. I could probably be convinced either way on something that makes good sense.
Okay. George?
Well, my problem with keeping the building is, first off, we have not budgeted for utilities on this building, repairs. We've got a new city hall, and it's just not there in the budget. Where are you going to get the money to do it? If you keep the building, you're going to have to take money from something else. You're going to have to take money from some other budget to keep it open. That's my big problem, as opposed to selling the thing and getting it on the tax rolls.
Owen?
I'm kind of like John here. I'm kind of on the fence on that. I see a lot of opportunities we could probably use this building for, but yet I don't know, we can jump on, I mean, new community building, I don't know if Park City Pride or Rec Center. I'd also say like George too, you know, was our albatross to kind of keep up on. So maybe we need to talk to the public about it, or talk to some of the other communities, or the, I don't know.
Tom?
I think, I understand what you want to do. You want to get it out there on the market, see what interest it shows. If it doesn't show interest in the range that we think it's worth, then I probably wouldn't be in favor of selling it. But we don't know what kind of interest it's going to show. So maybe, in reality, we can always turn down an offer, but we don't know what the offer is until it happens. So I think we ought to let you go do that, and then really consider if we get an offer or when we get an offer, whether we really want to sell or not. So does that make sense to everybody, or?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, if we put it out there on the market and we get a high-end six-figure dollar amount for it, we all might, yeah, we'll take that. And it could be something on the low side where, we're not going to let it go for that. We can find
Is there
other
any
use
going to
for
be
it.
any kind of restriction on it for the sale? You're leaving yourself wide open if you don't have some kind of restriction there.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Pardon?
What do you mean?
You want it to be a bar? If the guy's got the money.
Do we care though?
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking that question.
Are you talking about a minimum sales price?
No.
We're talking about the use.
Usage.
Oh, on the usage, okay.
And that's why I said if you had some kind of maybe an incentive for some kind of a development issue or something like that, I don't know. You need to get it on the market and see what it draws, what kind of interest it brings.
Gary?
Well, I'm in agreement that we should go out there and pursue, what's out there. We won't know anything until we do that, so I'm favored in that.
Okay. Melvin?
Last time we talked about this, we talked about the building at 53rd and Broadway also. Are we talking about that too, or just this building?
Not at this time. This motion I'm asking for tonight is for this particular building. I think once we got to a point that we had everybody moved out of the squad room, we were able to think of relocating our maintenance folks to somewhere else, then yes, I would say we would want to go back in, but I don't think we're at that position right now.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
We don't have a motion
Oh,
yet.
I thought you made.
You can make a motion.
Want to make a
Okay, I'll make the
motion?
motion that we go out for, bids for a real estate
Just that you authorize
authorized.
Jack and myself to go out and find a realtor to represent the city in the sale of the current city hall. Gary?
I'll second it.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is item E, which is an executive session. Doug, I'll let you read that.
Mayor and council, I would request that the city council recess to an executive session for consultation with the city attorney regarding potential litigation. The assistant city manager, city administrator, the city administrator, and the chief of police, along with the council and city attorney, to be present for a period of 5 minutes.
Is there a motion? John? And Melvin.
I'll second it.
Yeah, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's 7:32. All right, we are back from executive session where no binding action was taken. And we'll move on to governing body reports. And we'll start with Jim.
I just wanted to comment, I saw on the consent agenda that, Convention Tourism Committee's got some nice events coming up, charity polo, disc golf tournament, and then a whole summer of racing at Jeeps Motorcycle Club and a season at 81 Speedway. Anyway, some great events right down the road. I always really enjoy going out and watching them, so I hope everybody takes advantage of that. It's pretty nice to have that right down the road.
Thanks. Joel? George?
The only thing I'd say is, on the consent agenda, I probably should have had the minutes pulled off and abstained on that because I was not here. But anyway.
Okay. Tom?
Jim brought up something, and I'd mentioned it to Jack last week. We've got a disc golf tournament coming. You have baseball going on, you have BMX that's possibly doing things on weekends. And we need to make sure that the city manages those weekends when that's happening, or there may not be no parking or a way to get in there. If there's a baseball tournament going on, you have a disc golf tournament going same time. Or, just, I know we are, but it's getting more serious the more stuff we put in that park. So, the other thing is, like the building night, I like to just throw stuff out there so everybody's aware of it. Sometimes I kind of out myself a little bit too far, but I just want everybody to be aware of and think about what we're doing before we go do it. So I don't mind doing that occasionally. So
Melvin?
I'm good.
Gary?
I'm good tonight.
John?
I have nothing, so I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, motion by John, second by Jim. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes 7-0.